Right, here we are, here we are, here we are, here we are in VCV rack, and let's make the screen go big. Yay. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. Zoom, zoom. There we are. Right, so today we're going to take a look at seeded randomness. And using seeded randomness, we can generate melodic phrases and rhythmical phrases. So, yeah, it's a way of taking our random numbers and kind of looping through them. So let me just switch this on, and you'll be able to hear it'll play 4 bars of a particular phrase, and then it will move on and generate a new phrase with a different rhythm and melody. So here we go. Okay, here we go. There's the change. Second, third bar, last bar, and then change. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to try and make something that looks and sounds a bit like this. So to start off with, let's just delete everything except for our output. This is our audio output. And let's just start with a basic setup in terms of having an oscillator and an envelope. So I'm just going to search for oscillator in here, or you could use the VCO. You could use that phrase abbreviation. Yeah, voltage controlled oscillator. So we've got this nice wavetable one here, which gives us some control over the harmonics, which would be quite nice. And in order to control that, we're going to need, well, let's have a look at how we can control the pitch. So what we could do is, I'm just going to search for random. I'm going to take one of these random number generators or random control voltage generators. Quite like this one. It's quite skinny, but you've got loads of outputs. So I like to use random values for lots of different things. And I don't want to use the same set of values for everything. So these are quite nice because you get one trigger and you get 4 simultaneous but different random outputs, and you've got 2 sets there. So that's quite good. We're going to need a clock, so let's just search for clock here. I like this one here. It's you can set the BPM. It's got a reasonable range, 30 to 300, and it's got these nice outputs at the bottom here. So we've got the it has an output for the bar, the beat, 8th notes and 16th notes. So what we could do is we could just take, for example, the 16th notes and use that to trigger random values, which we then just spit into here. Now if we take the output of the wavetable oscillator and click it in here, I'm just going to go mono just into the left. Ooh, ouchie, horrendous. Let's do that again, but without making my ears bleed. So let's just turn the level down. Obviously, wow. Okay. Yeah, so we'd have to do some scaling and some caressing and smoothing in order to get those values to do something useful. But what you hear there is just a constant stream of values that they're always changing. Um, so in terms of generating a melody, there's no kind of repetition. There's no sense of phrasing. And it's got its uses, but sometimes you want to have it a bit more kind of, repeating, or to have a kind of sense of phrase about it. So we're not going to control it that way. Wow, yeah, that is painful. That is when you've got the whole range of values there. Okay, so we need to, well, let's start with a VCA. We need a voltage controller. I like this little skinny one. It's the little mini one here from Bog Audio. We use that, and we also need an envelope generator. So envelope. Again, there's a Bog Audio one here. Let's just go Bog Audio here. There's a few different ones. I just want the simple, what is it, an attack release one or attack decay one. That's it. Okay, so let's disconnect that. What we need to do is put the wavetable into the voltage controlled amplifier, so that goes into the input. Then the output goes to our audio out, and we're just going to take our clock, our 16th notes, and cram it in the trigger, and then we're going to take our envelope out, and we're going to put that in the control voltage, so it controls the amplitude. There we go. So let's just put a bit of output up. Yeah. So now we can there we go. So we've got a nice little envelope there. Brilliant. So that's the first thing. We've got our really basic synth setup there. So yep, there's our amplifier, there's our envelope, there's our oscillator. We could always, add some harmonics. Nice. Okay. And then again, like before, we could have just use a, yeah, that's quite a familiar sound, jumping around. So I mean, the computer is entirely deterministic. These random values are not random, and in the world of computer science, we call them pseudo-random number generators, because they're not actually random. They're just incredibly long number stored in the memory, and after a while playing through that sequence, which is identical every time, you get lost pretty quickly. So perceptually, as far as we're concerned, these values are random. And for example, with this module here, the 2x RND, it does something called seeding in order to offset where you start reading that value from. So you're kind of giving it an index value. So you're saying, look, this time I want you to start reading that long number again, but just so I don't think it's the same number, can you start at position 14 and then read from there? And there's lots of different ways in which you can seed your random number generator. I'm not going to go into that, but what I will say is we can use, if we just reset the filters, I'm going to type in seed, and we've got this Seeds of Change thing by Frozen Wasteland. This is great because what it does is it allows you to set the seed yourself. Okay, so instead of using this, let's use this. So we're going to pop it in the clock there, and I'm just going to move that to the side. We're going to take the control voltage out, and we're going to pop it here into the, here we go, the voltage per octave input thing. What do people call that? Do they call it VOCT? Voltage per octave input, yeah, or well, it's a 1 volt per octave pitch input. There's got to be a colloquial shortened term for what people call them. We're going to call it VOCT. We'll go in the VOCT, and now we've got a similar sort of thing going on. So, but what I can do is press reseed. And every time I press that, you can hear it's playing the same values because what we're doing here is giving it a seed. So I can change the seed. So let's put the, I'm just gonna right mouse button click and type in a seed. So I'm gonna type in 10, and I'm gonna turn the volume up, and then I'm gonna stop using pressing the reseed button to go back to the start. Like this. So the easiest thing that we could do is we could take, for example, the bar output from our clock, and we could just say, hey, every bar, just reseed yourself, and reseed yourself with a seed value of 10. So you're saying, go to an index of 10 and start reading that massive long number that you're pretending to be random. Start reading it from there, please. And by doing so, we get it's now producing albeit a horrendous sequence that repeats over and over. And what we can do is we can change the seed value here. So I'm just going to change it to 11. And here we've got a different sequence or loop. And if we go back to 10, it's the same ones. Oh, all that time I've been asking you to be random, and you've just been telling me the same values. You must think I'm an idiot, computer. God, I've figured you out now. Right, so this is a simple way of generating a sequence. Let's tidy it up a wee bit. For example, the range is a bit all over the place. So you can see we've got a multiply and offset control here for the output of the seeds of change. So we're just going to right mouse button click here and say 2, and that'll give us 2 octaves to work with. Okay, so now let's turn this up. It should be a bit more confined. There you go. So we've now constrained that to 2 octaves. What else we can do is we can look at quantizing it. So there's what is it? Type in quant. Oh, there we go. QNT. This thing's great. Let's just clag this in. So we just take our control voltage output, we plug it in here, and we take the output from this unit and we plug it in there, and then we basically say, go away white notes, we don't want you anymore, we just want, you know, to hear the black notes. So great, we've now constrained it to a scale, and well, straight away this thing here is a great way of having a little simple generative sequence. So it's about as simple as it gets, this setup here. So let's just do this, turn this up, and then we change the seed. Like that, yeah. So that's pretty cool. So I mean, there's a couple of things that we could do. We can also look at changing the rhythm a bit as well, because at the minute we're just like 16th notes, super straight pattern. So we can mix that up a little bit. So we're going to do that with a clock divider. So I'm just going to type in div here, find our clock divider. The one that we want is the shifting clock divider, because what we can do with this is we can kind of muddle up what our output is doing. So normally we'd have the divide by 1, divide by 2, 3, 4 output, but when we put the control voltage in here to shift it around, it kind of muddles the outputs around according to our input voltage. So what we'll do initially is we're just going to take our 16th note as our clock input. Oh, don't give me a... Why would you do that? You chose a mustard one, a yellowy mustard colour, on top of a mustardy coloured thing. Let's get rid of that. Let's get another patch cord. Let's go back in the drawer, pick another one out. Ah, green one. There we go. That's better. Okay, so now we can see it's working like a normal clock divider. There's the divide by 1, divide by 2. Basically spitting out binary here. And what we can do is we can now take a second output from seeds of change. So a bit like our 2x rand thing, we've got these simultaneous outputs. We're just going to change the scale though, because we are expecting a control voltage between 0 and 7.5 volts. So I'm just going to right mouse button click on this multiply here and just type in 7.5 and return, and then we can take the output here and we can jam it into the shift control here, and then we're just going to take our so instead of triggering our envelope with 16th notes, let's take that out. We're just going to take the first output from our shifting clock divider and slap that in there, and now there we go, and we change the seed. Oh, well, let's just take the pitch out. There, you can hear it's doing rhythms. Cha 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 cha. Here we go. Catchy, yeah. Yeah, and change the seed. Yeah, so now it's spitting out different rhythms for us. Plug the pitch back in. So essentially there we've got something that will generate phrases, and we can mix it up a bit as well. Well, one thing I like to do is I'm just going to plug in another clock divider, just a standard one, a vanilla one. That's cool. We're just going to pop that one in there, and we're going to take our 16th. No, we're not going to take the 16th note. We're going to take our bar output here, and we're going to divide that down so that we can count bars. And we're going to just say, every 4 bars, I want you to give me a random value. So I'm going to trigger that. I'm going to take the random value output, and what I'm going to do is say I want that random value to change the seed. So every 4 bars we should get a new seed, we should get a new phrase. Brilliant. So let's just, tidy that up a bit, shove that there. That should do. We could also let's bring this oscillator down by an octave. I'm just going to click on the frequency here, so I'm going to right mouse button click. Instead of typing in frequency, I'm just going to put /2 and divide by 2, because you can do math in here and it allows us to jump down by precisely an octave. Put some harmonics on. Brilliant. And we can mix this up a little bit as well. So we can change the phrasing and in terms of the hang on, here we go. So instead of 16th notes, we could choose different ones. So just go to 8th notes. Let's change the envelope. And And then obviously if you wanted to go ahead and change the clock divider that's counting the bars here, again, it's giving me an orange one. Put that cable away. Give me another cable. God. Purple. God, there's loads of purple ones. There we go. At least I can see it now. So yeah, so we could change that. So we could have it change every bar, every 2 bars, every 4 bars, every 8 bars. So you can see how you could easily build up a kind of an algorithmic composition using this sort of technique. Or indeed, you could even use the external trigger to kind of trigger phrases at strategic points. And you can easily reset the phrase. So this is like kind of a master control for our phrasing. Obviously we've got the tempo as well. You change the signature and that's going to affect the outputs here in terms of the beats and bars, etc. You can also change the range. So instead of just having a range of 2 octaves, let's switch it on and let's go crazy and go to 4 octaves. Whatever you fancy. I mean, you could also use this to offset things as well, to change the octave as well. Oh, stupid touch bar. Right, there, -1. So we didn't have to do the math there, did we? To reset a control, we just double click, and then we could just change the offset here. So you could just do it -2. Okay. Yeah, so I thought that would be useful. Let's put some reverb on it actually. I really like this this plate reverb here is quite nice. Let's crack this on the end because everyone likes a nice reverb. So let's go. We're just going to put mono in, but actually if you put mono into this one, you can have stereo. It does stereo out. Listen. You hear that? It's got stereo width built in. So you can give it a mono source. It spits it out. That's good. Obviously that's way too much, so... spacious. And then... And obviously anytime we want to get a new phrase, we can trigger it here by spewing out a random value into the seeds of change, which changes the seed. But we could manually just, press that as well. So let's just... There we go. And you can see the reseeding is basically looping. So every time you reseed it, you're going, hey, go back to that index, go back to 2208, go back to 2208, and that allows us to loop through the random number, and create the phrasing. And you can see we're just using the bar output at the minute, but we could loop it, every beat and make even shorter ones. Hang on, so shorter bars, or well, shorter repetitions or loops. And then again, it doesn't have to be 16th notes, it could be 8th notes or whatever you like. Okay, I'll leave it there. You get the idea. So that is how you use seeded randomness to generate melodic and rhythmical phrasing in VCV Rack. Thank you. No, I've got to. Oh, what? I've got to come out of full screen just so I can get to the menu dingus with the hoo-ha so I can press the stop